Warning! Warning!
Spoilers for Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3. Sorry for the delay.
Sorry I kept you waiting.
How long has it been?
About a month from now.
College paperwork and stuff. Welcome back! Quick intro. In this video, with the aid of these small Titan models that you are seeing on screen, we will analyze and deduce the shape of the worlds of Bionis and Alrest at the end of their respective games, and how they merge to make Aionios. And without annihilation events at first, this will lead us to more Wave 4 analysis. That's right, more DLC talk, but no leaks, as I, as many others, want to enjoy the DLC with little to no knowledge.
Later this year.
So, no data mine info in the video nor in the comment section. We are safe here. I know this image is wrong, but it's merely an artistic choice for the thumbnail. All of this analysis is based on the ending of Xenoblade 1, Future Connected, the ending of Xenoblade 2, and the clues given by Xenoblade 3 as well, plus the Wave 4 trailer, as I have seen more stuff. You're probably seeing some of these thoughts on screen already. A quick preview. So, we will start from the first to the last. First, I'll quickly show Bionis prior to its collapse, the location of some landmarks, to then modify bend it into the collapsed form. After that, a similar process with Xenoblade 2, quickly showing some of the Titans and how they could look in the island. After that, we will put them together to form the early Aionios that we will see in the DLC. And finally, we will take some land off, emulating the annihilation events to show how the world of the base Xenoblade 3 came to be. So, we will have to make some sacrifices. But these are merely small and quick crafts.
Furthermore, all those wouldn't have existed without me. As their original creator, I held dominion over their lives and deaths.
But fear not! They were made with detachable parts in mind. Mostly. Also, I did not make colonies due to scale issues. Things were already too tiny for my hands. I could make Alcamoth in the future. These are not detailed quality dioramas, but reference models to place them in a map with basic paint job, omitted details, and broken parts. Anyways, let's press on. First things first, the world of Bionis, mostly because Mechonis is rusting in the back. It did not disappear as some people say. The sword was cut, but its model in the cutscene disappeared though. But just a cutscene issue and not an in-world thing. Although the length of the cut has been altered and Galahad Fortress is back. Slight origin retcon? Quick look at its general areas and anatomy, from the bottom to the top. The original Colony 9 is located here, in this bowel above its hill. Through a tunnel in this area, we climb its interior until we exit through the knee. Past this hill and we find the iconic Bionis leg. Small ponds beside us, big arcs. We can see the Bionis right arm with Balak Mountain, the Kamos guidepost on the left side from our point of view and the right from the Bionis point of view. The forest where the refugee camp was, the Raquel Bridge. Past this waterfall and cave, we reach Colony 6, located in... Anyways, from here we can see the lake area and even Colony 9. Next to it, we enter the area of Satral Marsh, located in this island-shaped growth from the side of its hips. Trees here glow at night, and nature here grows thanks to the ever-present shadow of its body. We can see rivers, canyons, hills, etc. After that, through a severe case of reflux, we get burst into the lower back area, Magna Forest. Some low poly renders Erythsea is here, but in reality, these two areas are separated. Magna the lower part, and a ring with the sea between the Bionis wings and this jungle. Some notable landmarks here are the waterfalls that Danban spotted a while back, and the big tree where Frontier Village is. From here we ascend to Earthsea, where we can appreciate the wings that surround it, the smaller wings on the Aionios shoulders, and the head, of course. Now, the ending. We have three things to consider here, in order of apparition. First, the Bionis pose and the ending itself. We can see that most of the body is submerged. We can see that the head is tilted to the left, from Colony 9's point of view. We can also spot Bionis' left wing and the right hand. Keep these hand positions in mind. Anyways, we don't see the shoulder. According to Future Connected, it is floating above. In Xenoblade 3, we can see that it fell down, ending in that weird position between the head and the shoulder. The shoulder was in its original position, flying, and Bionis fell a little bit to the side with its head turned. That's why the lesser wing on this shoulder connects the head with the Aetia region, and traces of the other shoulders can be found too. Additionally, the DLC trailer showed us this fragment of land that is very reminiscent of the lower shoulder areas. Similar holes and these remains are also present in the Xenoblade 1 ending. This Xenoblade 3 3D model gives us more detail on its position, with annihilation events taking the water that had it submerged. The left wing is fragmented further back. And I can correct one of my previous mistakes, as in my previous video I mentioned that this thing would be Colony 9, but immediately regretted, saying that these are clearly some random rock formations in the comment section. Next, based on Xenoblade 3 areas and the anatomy of the giant, the lower back and hip islands, Magna and Saturn respectively, appear to have floated away after the collapse of the giant. Keep in mind that Earthsea will be our point zero. The rest of the body rotated a little bit, causing one of its wings to go down, probably the one seen in the Xenoblade 1 ending from Colony 9. Well, with the following evidence, we can deduce that Saturn Marsh Island fell over the Mechonis fallen arm, according to its position and characteristics, right in front and under Bionis. Fingers, the lack of shores, and the damaged ring where the Machina hideout used to be. Without the shadow of the Bionis, the area suffered a severe drought, but the Mechonis fingers provided enough for some glowing trees to survive. And speaking of fingers, 4 of them are mostly intact, while only the joints from the 5th one remains, the one that was already mostly in debris in Xenoblade 1, and it's the same from which we are introduced to the Furnace region. Some rock formations are similar, places where rivers could have been, cliffs, the black rocks, and high Entia interest in it, as many landmarks are named after Xenoblade 1 high Entia NPCs. Next, the Magna lower back. As the name implies, Magna was made with part of this. We can see the Frontier Village tree and the famous waterfalls. Along with the twisted Nopon tree lamps, the waterfalls were not one-directional only, they circled the area, so their position according to the tree is not a contradiction. Finally, the arm, Bionis' leg, and Colony 9 itself. As the ending shows, the colony is behind the head. So, when falling, the Titan must have stretched its leg, with the heel ending behind and the tide in the front of it, and quite possibly disconnected, due to the impact ending as 2 separate islands. The Wave 4 DLC trailer showed us this other segment of the Bionis leg that is not Milik Meadows. In fact, it has more of the leg than the previously mentioned, and some weird rocks next to it, with some snowy parts. So I think that the right arm with Balak Mountain fell over the leg, cutting it in two parts, Milik to the right and the rest on the left. But in the Xenoblade 1 world, most of the arm was submerged. Well, with this, we could see a sneak peek of the DLC talk section, but let's go to Xenoblade 2 first. Okay, Alrest. Quick look at the Titans. I omitted Leftheria due to their size, the lack of knowledge on the main body, and my overall laziness. Let's check them from the smallest to the largest. First, Gormott, the goat-like titan with the green starting area. We can see where these grassy plains were supposed to be, where Torrigoth should be, this arc with the waterfall, the neck, and the head. Its size was determined by comparing its fins with the Bionis leg arcs seen in Xenoblade 3. Temperantia, the only one where I messed up the proportions and scale compared to the others. It should be smaller than Gormott. A stingray-like titan. Grey rocky terrain with tall spikes. I made it as it's part of one of the theories regarding an area in Xenoblade 3. Bor Ardain. Smaller than the next ones, but taller, as it's a humanoid titan. With volcanoes in its back, some long strings that I could barely paint due to the materials I had. A long head with a metallic mask, one missing left arm, whose shoulder was colonized and turned into alba cabbage, and a functional arm in the right side. Uraya, the famous whale titan seen in the cover arts. Its inhabitants live inside it, so there's not much to see outside, aside from a platform. It has fins, long antennas, a tail, etc. Finally, Genbu, the turtle-like titan, similar to Uraya. It has some big crystal on its head, a large rocky chin, and a big shell with holes and spikes. Its inhabitants are inside as well. They are stated to be similar in type. Small intermission. Torna from the DLC, whose remains in the base game fell next to the land of Moritha. You can access its womb from here through a hole in either its chest or behind. But before that, we have Auresco near the beginning of the tail, the Danak Desert in front of it, and the Aleta and Lazaria regions on its borders. Now, into the ending of Xenoblade 2, and some information from Xenoblade 3. First, after the battle in front of the Cloud Sea, clouds did something to them and they all started moving from the Cloud Sea, walking towards land. We can see their position when this happened and who arrived first. If we look carefully, we can spot giant fins and spikes, and even a tunnel in the new land, New Alrest or New Elysium, however you call it, showing us that it's made out of the remains of many, far older and larger, titans. There are many of these corpses acting as islands around in the back, and Gramps doesn't help with the perspective as he circles around along with the cameraman cutting shots, but most titans appear to have landed in the same big one. As seen in these shots, the shape matches. We can see the fins and the spike area in a large mass, with a smaller mass in the left. Uraya and Genbu parked first in the spike area, Genbu a little bit lower in position. And a shot of its fins from the side and the front show us that Gormott arrived at the same island, but from the left. Now, judging by how Uraya and Genbu arrived first and are quite big, along with the shape of the smaller hill in the left, which has a slope, it looks like Gormott went there to have an easier time climbing. Also, poor Torrigoth. but in the early shot we saw Gormott and Moradane walking together. So, based on the information of Xenoblade 3, I guess that they went there and circled the center, which was quite busy. Gormott to the left and Moradane to the right, next to Genbu, grabbing to the shore through its only arm, to align with Xenoblade 3's map, which would mean that this empty abyss is where Genbu was. And these Alrest pictures in Xenoblade 3 confirms that Uraya, now over the shore, is visible from it, and the mass between Uraya and Genbu is what would later be called the Urayan Mountains, where the Annihilator was tested.
Now, if we fuse these two worlds, we get...
Now, onto Aionios, a land with a fragmented sea where time stopped, when these two worlds collided. The islands comprise of the Bionis remains and the island where the Titans of Alrest arrived. First of all, the box art. We see Uraya and the Mechonis sword, although for artistic purposes they are aligned differently from the game. We see Urayas on top of a mass of land, like that picture, so this is but an extract of that island. We can see Rivet and Ryabel tablelands from here. Let's see the case region by region. First, the Aetia region. We have the rest of Gormott, whose grass turned red. Maybe it was autumn when time stopped? The grassy plains, now Alfeto Valley, are not only destroyed by annihilation events, but the elevation in terrain might be the result of a rough landing.
Another happy landing.
Its neck remains. Colony Gamma is there, but the throat is mostly destroyed, and a part of it is hanging in the side from a thin string or log, and Cooley Lake is there. As we can see, throat remains here, and these horns, which would make the Gormott skull the infamous Captocorn pick.
I hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it.
Captocorn sounds like Capricorn, the goat-like thing, right? Anyways, now onto a more debated topic regarding it. The Everblight Plains. There are two theories, either Gormott's jaw or part of Temperantia, hence why I made that model. It could align with the jaw, but I find it to be too big compared to the skull, which is supposed to be larger. Part of Temperantia would match, due to how the terrain looks. But let's not forget the fact that Gormott was sitting in a rock in the ending of Xenoblade 2. The Kebes Colony 9 is near the Tails fin, and following the Alfeto Valley, we can see that two fins disappeared or were crushed, maybe due to Cooley Lake moving? Anyways, in this area, next to the fins, is where a third of the Bionis leg intersects, just in front of the second to last one. This is the right part from the Bionis point of view. We can see three arcs, the Kamos guidepost, and at the end a pond that aligns with the one at the beginning of the leg from the knee in Xenoblade 1. There are flamingos in both cases. We can also see that the borders are cut with a slope downwards, so whatever cut it, it was downwards, aligning with my Bionis arm idea, as that arm was really intrusive when I wanted to paint the leg. Now, the Fornis region, the second largest one. The first part is Ego's Wilderness, which is comprised of the Mechonis arm and the remains of Saturn Marsh, as explained before. Dried rivers, names, etc., where Colony 4 and Colony Iota are. This area intersects with the remains of Torna, as we have the Danak Desert and either the Alita or Lazaria region, as the green trees area above, where the Colin 13 events took place.
Hope I'm not interrupting.
Chew on this, scrap for brains!
I believe this rock mountain formation is where the core of the Titan once stood. But I could be wrong. It's hard to pinpoint its position due to the lack of references, as it's also partly fused with the land where Uriah landed. We can also spot some formations that could be its tail or wings. Origin has the data of the old locations, because it's like it teleported Torna and Moritha remains from the borders of the Cloud Sea to the new land. Okay, now onto the Pentelas region, comprised of the remains of Uriah. Although lots of the floor is gone. By the way, the Annihilation Hole is removable, although the antennas should still be attached and not detached, and a lesser Titan from the Urian army. The remains of the Magna Forest, as seen in the Frontier Village 3 remains, and the waterfall. A small part of Torna due to the bluegrass area, the buildings of the land of Moritha, and at the end, Morardane's hand. So this area has more Titans than any other, while also being the most linear. At least not Final Fantasy XIII linear. I hope we get to explore the pre-annihilation event Uriah, when there was still floor and sand. Although in the Wave 4 trailer we can spot some tiny floating islands, so part of it was already destroyed? Okay, now onto the Keves Castle region, comprised of Morardane, his arm in the background, and seems like Genbu was part of it, but some huge annihilation events might have taken place. That could explain the amount of black fog in the area. In the Wave 4 trailer, it appears that there is a bridge or some fallen building that connects the arm section with the land bridge between Cadencia and the rest of the Bionis leg. And it looks like we have Moradane's head back, as some of its chin hanging thingies are there. In the base game, however, it had a massive hole in its chest and most of the head was gone. So, will they reuse the map and add content to the old regions as well? I hope so. Finally, the Cadencia region, comprised of the Aerith Sea and the Leftherian Titan, represented with some moss, which might have landed in a nearby island. As explained before, the shoulder later fell in front of the head, explaining its weird position and the connection to the Aetia region. The right wing contains most of it, while the left one is fragmented and its end covers the back of the sea, which connects with Morardane and the Mechanic Sword, which appears to have fallen in Fonset village.
Or the main body.
I know that this thermal area resembles Xenoblade 2 concept art, but maybe the reason behind the geothermal offsprings is due to it being near to Morardane's volcanoes. We have the old Alcamoth entrance teleporter, the Leftherian Islands, Aerith Sea, and Hope's Rest, where the old city once stood, so there must be a connection between Cadencia, just in front of the arm, and the rest of the Bionis leg and Urian Trail. If the shoulder is there, there is a connection with the lost road between Capricorn Peak and the Cadencia region. Hence the arm as well. I wonder what else we'll see. The regional towns like Torrigoth and Colony 9, Genbu, Morardane, Uriah Interior 2.
Okay, now onto the Wave 4 trailer. Once again, as I have seen lots of stuff between some mountains, well, we have either a 20th century building, a Xenoblade Chronicles 1 giant building, or the ones from the cliffs of Moritha, next to a small metallic structure reminiscent of an observation hatch, and a tent, some roads in the mountain that I hope we get to, some kind of dock or a second connection to Cadencia? A cave at the bottom, and while zooming in while analyzing the trailer again at 3 AM as usual, I saw a new green area far away with one of the Bionis arcs, or a finger, a twisted plant, or it's more like in this concept art?
Okay, so what do you all think? Does these locations and placements make sense for you? I'm writing this script while I'm walking on the street, so if I miss the name of some regions or creatures, like the flamingos, it's due to this. If you spotted something else, or have additional or different theories, please let the discussion continue on the comments below. No wait for leaks though.
This time, I would like to thank CD CERN and Surfinator Seek for the following screenshots of Xenoblade Chronicles 1. And Eren for the Torna ones and overall helping me understand Torna's shape. Would you like to see more far larger cardboard stuff? A detailed diorama perchance? What should the next topic be? Culture of the city? Nippon culture from 1, 2, 3 and X? All the Xenogears references in Blade so far? I'll make a poll soon enough.
Anyways, that will be it. Have a good one.